All right, welcome back. Thank you so much for your feedback. Hashtag Newsnight SMS 22422. A lot of questions about the state of politics and the state of the nation at this time. And of course, a lot of curiosity about that meeting between President Uhuru Kenyatta and opposition leaders in Mombasa today. And there's a question that's actually come up. A few of them, let's take a look at them. And we start with this one. No name, you say, can you ask your distinguished analysts what they make of that elbow snub between Raila and Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka after the photo session as per the circulating clip? And just to refresh your memory, let's actually play that clip. This was at the tail end of the meeting. And so, you know, here there's that photo session. The president and leaders of the various political parties represented there, and conclusion of the discussions that are happening. And of course, you then see the pleasantries of goodbye as they seek to leave. And there, ODM leader Raila Odinga says goodbye to the president, moves on to Honorable Moses Wetangula, Honorable Gideon Moi, and there is no form of goodbye with Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka. That's what the viewer basically is asking. Any of you want to take a...
Yes,
I don't
of
know
course.
If Barak, can you read a body language expert?
Absolutely. Remember Kalonzo Musyoka saying, I don't know whether it was with you, not so long ago, that he would be extremely stupid, his idiom, not mine.
But it's after 10 o'clock.
To
so
support, I remain sober all the time, 24/7. That it would be extremely stupid of him to support Raila again without a dividend. I don't know what that dividend is or was meant to be. And it is just possible that behind those closed doors, the question came again, and he must have said, Tinga, nilikuunga mkono, nikakuunga mkono tena, and we agreed that utarudisha mkono. So I'm not agreeing. And that meeting must have ended up as a stalemate. And therefore, Odinga gets out and is feeling very unhappy. And so he elbows everybody else and actually elbows Kalonzo.
And yet the president looks very happy, well, looks...
Yeah, if he has all these other people
but
together.
I'm not seeing him passing Kalonzo.
Oh, he did. He just left him at the back there.
Well, it's been quite the discussion. And even as you say that, a viewer is also asking, please ask your guests, what would be the likely outcome of a Kalonzo Musalia ticket supported by the handshake, or a Musalia Kalonzo ticket supported by the handshake?
Yes, you see, sometimes I am a good man. And for that reason, I keep advising people for free.
Not all the time, but sometimes.
Even when I come to your sister station here, no, it's a radio station here.
Yes.
The local Noboka. When I'm with Mudasya Muhambe and Ajitan Ijiri Chindume.
Yeah.
I use even my mother tongue to tell Mutavadi. 2022, be very careful. If you are not in either of these teams, either with Ruto or with, you'll get lost in between. And allow me, my doctor and a very competent neurosurgeon called Vincent, Dr. Wekesa.
Yes.
He tells me, if Mudavadi joins Raila, we would rather be hapo katikati. These are die-hard lawyers. Well, it is what some people are saying. So to answer your question, the possibility of Mudavadi and Kalonzo running with Kalonzo at the top, Mudavadi down, is always there. In 2017, they almost broke away from Raila to go that way. That could occasion a runoff between Ruto and Raila. It can't do more than that. But I also, since I said I'm a good man, this is what I normally tell them. If you push very hard and you are Kalonzo Musyoka, if you push very hard and you are Musalia Mudavadi, you could be digging your own grave. You know what? If BBI goes through, there will be 5 or so positions. There are not that many, as Baraka will tell you. They can't go around. So Raila and Uhuru have a problem of who to slot where in the 5. Because there are more than 5 guys, okay? Once Raila has taken the presidency, there are 4 left. And there are more than 4 people, because on top of, you saw Paranya there,
Absolutely, and
Joho is also in the wings,
claiming a stake.
And 1 or 2 people must come from the mountain,
but Oparanya,
because of their stake.
Oparanya is there strategically.
Yeah. So let me just make my point, and therefore there are more than 5 people for 5 slots. So I always advise Kalonzo and Mudavadi, if you go away, you could be falling into the trap set for you, because you are going to create room for Raila to slot their Oparanya if you are Mudavadi. You are going to create room for Raila and Uhuru to sort out Chap. What do you call this guy? He normally comes here.
Governor
Mutua.
Dr. Alfred Mutua.
You know, because Ngilu will go back for, she has said she's going back for governor. Kivuda may be pacified, so Mutua can be slotted somewhere, not necessarily in the top. You see what I'm saying? Now, that's not far-fetched. Why? If Mudavadi stands in Western and gets, let's be generous to him, 300,000 votes. One thing is sure, that from the 300 votes, Ruto votes are there. In other words, if Mudavadi joins Raila, Ruto will get some votes from Western Kenya, whether you like it or not. There may not be many, but they are bad enough in politics. If he gets even 100,000, which he can get. So if Mudavadi can stand, create room for somebody else to take that slot of his, at the same time, eat the Ruto votes so that they don't go into the Ruto basket. And you can take that to Kambani. They must be very careful how they are dealing. But finally, why I advise them to be in either camp. 2022 marks the end and the beginning. There's going to be a generational change after 2022. The generational change will not necessarily be based on your age, although age will be a major consideration. It will be the people who have been on the political scene. If you lose in 2022, you will disappear from the map of this country politically forever, irrespective of your age. So you had better be within an outfit so that you continue your political life after 2022. Try going it alone.
Whether your outfit wins or loses.
Yeah, try going it alone if you are Mudavadi or Kalonzo, Apa Katikati. And then you disappear. You will never emerge again. So I advise them to think very carefully.
Let me read some messages, then Dr. Muluka, I'll allow you to come in as we wrap up. We are now actually running a bit late on time. Peter Kawi from Nakuru, you say, it's like we have 2 nations in Kenya. One half is being listened to by very few, but literally, the 2022 president might have been chosen today. Okay, that's your reading of that Mombasa meeting. Some from Nyahururu ask Manyora and Muluka their thoughts about what abruptly happened, that the government did away social distancing, allowing matatus to carry full capacity. Yet the leaders claim today that they are discussing in Mombasa, amongst other things, the COVID situation. All right, SMS is now. No name, you say, going by the photo we saw from Mombasa, where do we put the women of this country? Also in Kenya, we also know who the next president is. Voting is just a formality. Okay, where do we put the women of this country? 50% of the population. Tweet, Senior Ndwaru say, you say, it's sad that we only have 1 year left to another election. We've had 4 years to restore the sanctity of our elections. We did not. We've played politics, and soon enough, we'll have to confront the ghosts of disputed elections. I think we have 2 more. Nyantika Chester, you say, it's all politics as regards to the 6th meeting with the president. Nothing wrong about it. After all, politics is the trade of every politician. And one last one. Thank God, Jugush, you say, as we approach the 2022 polls, the major political parties should focus on selling their agendas to Kenyans in order to give them a wider platform to choose their leaders. I don't know, Dr. Muluka, which question you'll start with. And one question that actually come in on SMS here. Please ask your guest to comment on the Harun Aidin affair. Kenyans still very confused about what happened there, the Turkish investor. Dr. Muluka, I don't know where you want to begin.
Yes, I'll take that one, Harun Aidin, and I think it's a very important question. It speaks to where I started when I said that the institution of government collapsed a long time ago. We've been on autopilot for the longest time ever, thanks to a largely functional public service, that we don't hear of any cabinet meetings, of any resolutions that have come out of cabinet.
Is that fair? We do hear
then you don't tell us. You are the gatekeepers.
Maybe you're watching another channel.
If
you're watching another channel.
If you do here and you keep it here, because cabinet used to meet once every week. Perhaps you're going to tell me that there's no need for them to meet once every week. By the same token, I'll be wondering why the 6 musketeers are meeting 2-3 times every week. What business are they discussing? Now, government collapsed a long time ago. You find a deputy president who is saying, I've been doing this for 9 years. And what he has been doing for 9 years has been outside the regulations, outside the protocol. It means that for 9 years, there's been illegality. Why has this not mattered in the past? But even worse is the way in which this fellow is bundled out of the country. As a Kenyan, Manyora, let me now come back into that space, yes. Step off my high horse, and now become a Kenyan. I would like to know what happened. I would like to know whether it is true that my deputy president is associating with merchants of terror. I would want to know what they were going to do in Uganda. I would want to know whether the other people who are with this terrorist are going to be arrested. And I expected this gentleman or this terrorist, whichever of the two he may be, to be arraigned before the courts and to be dealt with in accord with the laws. But the fellow is smuggled, literally smuggled out of the country at night. And the following morning, we are being told he has been extradited. And I'm reminded that this is not the first time that this is happening. A Kenyan national was frog-marched out of this country and sent into the tundra lands where he is wallowing in the cold. In spite of
Miguna.
Yes, indeed. In spite of numerous court orders, the rule of law is very important, and it's what worries me. What worries me here. I'll leave the other questions to my brother Manyora, but not before noting that I agree with him on his prognosis about the role of Dr. Alfred Mutua, the role of Governor Wycliffe Oparanya. They've been brought along to basically bait Mudavadi and Kalonzo and tell them, if you don't play ball, we still have an alternative route to that constituency that you consider you are controlling. And I suspect that Kalonzo Musyoka was rather firm. He said, Apana. Mudavadi might have said, okay, tutaona, let's play it by the ear and see how it goes.
But for you, Kalonzo probably said no.
He must have put his foot down.
Let's wrap this up, gentlemen.
I'll take the one of the pandemic,
okay.
But before that...
And you give us your final thoughts as well.
We are living here, and we pray God that we get home. But one of the reasons why we will get home is that we have a functioning government. There is law and order, and therefore there's a government in place. Just like I asked my friend to desist from calling Kenyans cows, I'm also asking him to accept that there is a government in place.
The public service,
There is law and order. That's why he will get home to his family. There are places in this country. The police are killing people every day. Let me finish, my brother. There are places in this world where you cannot leave a place like this at this hour and hope to get home just the way we hope to get home. So there's a government in place. It may have its own problems, but it's in place. Now to the to the pandemic. Yeah, well, we have been off and on. We blow cold and hot. But this is not Kenya alone. Even in big democracies, successful countries, you hear they have opened up and barely 3 weeks later they are locking. There are cities and countries in the world that have vaccinated so well, they have asked citizens not to put on masks. A week later, please put on your masks. A friend of mine called me from Texas. That is the case. So you cannot quite blame Uhuru and I'm not defending them. This is a difficult thing to deal with. So they will be off and on. Sometimes you, like the president once said, you are balancing between livelihood and life itself. So it's a tricky thing they are navigating. But granted, our politicians are really misbehaving. They are not behaving well. They are violating protocol in unnecessarily so. So I think that person should know. It's a difficult thing to say so. And finally, because we have been talking about our brothers and sisters, of course the sisters were not there. The only thing we can hope, and we must really pray, is that at the end of the day, this is our country, okay? We must love this country as we play our politics. Let it not be that if Kalonzo is not given, then, or Raila, that will be the end of the world. It can't be the end of the world. But the world continues.
The world
continues,
will continue.
And it must be a good world. And it is you and I to make it good.
As the world continues, is there any, as your parting shot, 30 seconds, because I know he needs to give his, is there any good news for Kenyans? In the midst of all this mixing of political players and meetings and discussions?
There's good news. One, God loves Kenya. Others will not be there.
I think that's when Kenyans know. Is there any other good news?
And secondly, what we are seeing is politics. And it is no more. Raila and Uhuru will organize. Ruto will organize. At the end of the day, we will go into an election in 2022. After which, despite a few hiccups here and there, a little noise here and there, maybe a stone thrown here and there, which we wouldn't want, Kenya will remain the same and we will move on. Do not underrate. Do not underrate the power of the handshake. The handshake has brought this country together in a way you cannot underrate. And I think it will be brought to bear in the elections of next year. This kind of unity.
Others say divided them, but it depends on which side.
When you talk about the handshake and the fear mongers that I was talking about earlier on, in mathematics they talk about the coefficient, the constant factor.
Namely?
What has been the constant factor in all these disputes? It's either election rigging, election stealing, and Raila Odinga.
1 second to respond to that.
And Raila,
1 second.
And Raila Odinga, he had finished.
And yet the court in 2017 agreed with him that the election was not properly conducted.
Yeah, and then he chickened out. And after chickening
1
out,
second to respond to that.
Wait a minute. After chickening out, he went to do a handshake. And the court had given him the opportunity to redeem his stolen election. And he decided not to redeem his stolen election. The coefficient in this thing, the constant factor, is a handshake in 1994 between Jaramogi Oginga Odinga and Daniel Arap Moi. 1998, Raila Odinga and Moi. 2008, Raila Odinga and Kibaki. 2018, the 8 factor, 8 is also a constant. Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta. So the Raila Odinga factor, the fear mongering, it means that if I want to enjoy the trappings of the good life, I just need to have behind me an army of rabble rousers, and we will say there will be no peace. And I will drive
this was supposed to be your parting shot, but you're taking us down. Manyora has...
So
I'll give you your final shot. Manyora needs to respond to that. Briefly, please, Manyora.
You know, I find it very difficult to believe as I sit here that somebody of the caliber of Dr. Mluka can underrate efforts towards peace. Talking of the handshake as if it was just another River Road greeting between Njoroge and Kamau or Wafula. Perhaps, I don't know, I don't understand Kenya sometimes.
We must look at this in the context.
I'm giving you one sentence.
We are coming to you.
So that I give you a
because me, I look back at 2017 and 2018 early and I say this country was burning. So I cannot really look at that handshake in the manner in which he's trying to do. But finally, I have had this narrative until I don't understand that somebody must accept defeat. Everything will be okay if people accept defeat, and Baraka is repeating it here. But we have seen that 2007, a bungled election, nearly brought this country down. Major players have agreed that election was so badly run and so badly bungled. You could not even have known who won. Just Judge Kriegler, we brought him from South Africa, he told us, you can't know who wins, who won. In English, is to say the person who has won did not win. In the year 2013, I remember the presentation in the Supreme Court by the young lady Kathy Kilonzo, and the court didn't even respond to what she has said, the top-up of the 8,000 or so votes. In 2017, like you rightly put it, the Supreme Court agreed the elections were not well conducted.
And your final point on that?
What I'm saying is, we want the loser not just to go home quietly, even to concede with the cameras, the way democracies work. But for that to happen, Baraka Mamuka, and I beseech you, please, for that to happen, elections must be free and fair. Our elections have been anything but free and fair. To expect the loser to just go home is to expect too much.
Please don't.
Those are his words. At no point have I said here or anywhere else that elections should be stolen. In fact, in the last show we had here, I was telling Manyora here that the BBI had failed to cure the most important factors that lead Kenyans to fight at election time. And that position remains. That nothing has been corrected. He's still dreaming about something called BBI. BBI is as dead as the dodo.
The dodo.
As far as the 2022 elections are concerned, it's going to find itself succumbing to the attrition and fluxion of time. It will not have the opportunity to stand. And even Raila now talks about it very tentatively.
Finally.
The final thing I'd like to say, I think it would be remiss, Maura, to go away without acknowledging the golden moments in Tokyo, in Japan, and those ambassadors who did this country proud, because we are spending all our time on politics. There are people who are doing great things. I was I watched the men's marathon from the beginning to the end. And the commentators kept on saying, oh, these Kenyans, though they must be very happy in Kenya, they must be celebrating, they must be... They didn't know that we were actually politicking. And just think of these people who arrest the world for 2 hours and 8 minutes. Eliud Kipchoge has kept the whole world frozen thinking about Kenya and Kenyans.
And he's arriving in the country in the next 40 minutes, coming back.
Wonderful. And
wonderful guy.
When that flag is being raised and he's standing there, he's the cause of the national anthem ringing in that stadium, I think that is just marvelous, and such are the people we should celebrate in this country.
I agree with you.
That is the appropriate place to leave this discussion, making us love our country once again, despite everything that is going on. Let me read the 2 last quick messages. Fred Obachi Machoka, the blackest man in Black Africa, is what he likes to call himself. He says, deportation in this country has a long history. His friend, Rumba musician Kanda Bongoman, was whisked out of Kenya and deported to France without explanation a long time ago. While we have a party official here of the Jubilee Party, I think I had seen his message, Honorable Kutunyi. Where is that message? He wants to remind Barack Muluka, what Uhuru is doing is Plato's concept of believing that conflicting interests of different parts of society can be harmonized in the best rational and righteous political order.
Let him come to my political science
player
class.
in this country can only ignore the president at his own peril. Barack, you've invited Kutunyi to your political class. You will school him in your ways. That's where we wrap up this discussion. Thank you so much to my guests. We've had Dr. Barak Muluka, communications consultant, lover of the English language today, may I add, and of course, Herman Manyora, political analyst. Both of them really helping us understand where we are as a country and wading into some of those things that you talk about in private, but they talk about in public. That's the state of the nation. And what a great thought there from Barak Muluka at the end. Our athletes just making us proud. And for a second, it's as if we temporarily forget our problems and focus on the good that is our country. May we continue to improve that good. On behalf of the whole team that's made this broadcast possible, thank you so much for having tuned in. Our sign language interpreter patiently working through till now has been Yulan Zale. And on behalf of the whole team, it's good night. We'll see you soon. Stay safe. My name is Wahiga Mwaura.